Hey guys, I'm Damesies. Welcome to the Omnic recap. As I record this video, we're going into the last hours of Overwatch 1. On October 3rd, this 6-year-old game will be taken offline. The day after that, we venture into a new era. An era of 5 vs 5, battle passes, free to play, and hopefully a lot of new content. So all in all, pretty exciting, but also kind of bittersweet. Even with all of its flaws, Overwatch 1 will be a game that we'll look back on fondly. Some a few days after it's gone, and others, well, after a few years. And there are those that will claim that it is better than anything that we have in Overwatch 2. But that might not necessarily be the case. See, as humans, we kind of dislike change. It's what helped us survive when we were still stabbing things with a stick. And we just tend to think that everything was better back in our day. Ask your parents, they'll have a few examples. But that being said, it has been a crazy ride. And on a more personal note, a ride I did not expect. See, there was a time where I played shooters, like the original Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, Unreal Tournament, Quake, even some Team Fortress. But over the years, I kinda lost interest in the genre. I started playing RPG games, horror games, story-driven games. And apart from my days ganking noobs and PvP in Warcraft, I didn't play any games that were too competitive. As I've explained in last week's videos, I grew to become a fan of all the Blizzard franchises. I played a lot of their titles, I watched BlizzCon every year, I followed all of the news, and in 2014 there had been some rumors going around that they were working on a new IP, their first new IP in over 10 years. So I was extremely excited to find out what that was going to be, especially since we heard that Project Titan got cancelled a few days or a few weeks, I don't remember exactly, before BlizzCon 2014. The name Overwatch was leaked, and the fact that it was going to be a shooter. Now we kind of all know these leaks and they tend not to be true, so we patiently awaited the opening show of BlizzCon 2014. The first thing they started out that show with was that reveal trailer for Overwatch. You know, the one with the Punch Kid and the Doomfist Gauntlet? I remember saying, oh damn, this looks so Pixar. Which is a compliment. But by the end of that trailer, we weren't really that much wiser on what type of game it was going to be. Although, they showed off Tracer, Reaper, Widowmaker, that's a lot of guns. On the other hand, they also had a talking gorilla, so yeah. But it turns out that the leak was correct on the name, so was it going to be a shooter? From the presentation that followed, it became clear that this was going to be a team-based PvP shooter with heroes. And to be honest, I was disappointed. I started complaining to my girlfriend, is Blizzard going to make a shooter? This is going to be the first Blizzard game I don't play. At that point I just enjoyed the rest of BlizzCon, and I don't even think I watched a lot of panels on Overwatch. But as the beta was about to start, at the end of 2015, I got my hands on a closed beta key. I used to work for a magazine, and I was a residential Blizzard expert, so I got access. But everything that they had been showing off in the last year, at that point I was actually quite keen to test the game. To this day, I still remember jumping into my first games of Overwatch, picking Lucio because I liked the idea of using music as an AoE heal, and kicking some ass. After which I stepped away from my PC, walked into the living room, and told my girlfriend, I freaking love this game. Alright, I'm a little paraphrasing. I don't say freaking. I'm not a surfer from the 80s. I started ranting about the heroes, the maps, the modes, and Lucio has been my support in the main category ever since. I got into the game so hard that in March 2017, I started the Omnic post over on Instagram, an account that reached millions of players every week at some point. And look at where I am today. Okay, not that much further, but I'm working on it. Those 6 years have been so eventful. Overwatch was a genre changer. Clones and copies started popping up left and right. The sales numbers shot through the roof. And according to sources, they made back all the money that they lost on Project Titan. Blizzard had done it again. Jeff Kaplan for president. That hype lasted for a few years. And Blizzard did their best to give us new content. The new heroes, for instance, were peak moments in Overwatch history. It didn't even matter if you played the hero or if you liked the hero. That feeling of a completely new character being added to the mix, with their own distinct look, their own distinct kit, was so refreshing. I mean, new maps were fun, but the new hero, that was game-changing. It impacted every role, every other hero, and every mode. I actually think we might never see that type of impact in the game again. Because as the roster grows and Blizzard is kind of changing the design philosophy, the future heroes might just be a little more flavor and a little less disruptive. On the other hand, I've seen some Kiriko footage, and oh damn, I think she needs some tuning. But that is something for next week. When Blizzard started adding seasonal events, the cosmetic gates were open and we took it all in. I remember there being an event where we got over 10 legendary skins. Can you imagine? It wasn't even Christmas. But the thing that triggered the biggest change in the Overwatch momentum was the PvE gameplay. When they added those brawls, we as players started to realize that we were missing out. And Blizzard had known that all along. There is so much potential in cooperative PvE within the Overwatch universe. So the demand for that type of content for Overwatch grew bigger with every event. And Blizzard on their side were pretty keen to give into this demand, since storytelling and PvE is so embedded in the company's DNA. I can't put my finger on when it happened exactly, but their decision to venture into this new chapter is where things started flipping, and the momentum that they had been building for years stalled. I made a video last week on how Blizzard changed over the last few years. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But after all that, I can't but wonder how much the corporate influence also had an impact on this whole loss of energy. I mean, there is a lot to take into account here. You are basically splitting up your resources on every level. You need to think about and work on the next project, while you're keeping the current one rolling forward. And it all needs to be a secret. That was something that was bound to break. I think they kind of all held on for dear life till they could officially announce Overwatch 2 in 2019. At that point, the cat was out of the bag and they could kind of explain why they were not putting that much energy in Overwatch 1. I just think, well, we know for a fact that they didn't expect it to take so long. They took their foot off the throttle in hopes of just rolling into the next one and taking the whole Overwatch franchise to the next level. But the engine stalled. Echo was the last hero to be released in April 2020. These seasonal events just kind of lost their shine and things got progressively worse. As a content creator, the last few years have been rough. That sounded like a dog, but you know what I mean. I can't even start to imagine how it must have been for the team, but we'll never know what happened exactly. I think it is a combination of underestimating the scale, clashing opinions, the pandemic, the internal scandals, and the corporate pressure that made the team lost their momentum. You need to remember that team is 3 times as big now. That by itself is just a huge challenge. And to be honest, I don't even think they have it sorted right now, days before release. They are still in some kind of panic mode. That's why they ended up splitting the game. That's why they're calling this an early access. That is why there are some features missing from what they promised us. And in the coming months, they might even make more decisions that have us scratching our head. But I do believe they'll get back on track. But that is something for a future video. Next week or the week after that, I want to look forward on how I see things unfolding in the next months and years. So make sure to subscribe. Today, however, we say goodbye to an old friend. A friend that we shared some amazing times with, but that occasionally made me want to flip my desk on so many levels. I look forward to seeing Overwatch 1 in an old screenshot as I mumble, remember when we had 6 people on every team and Doomfist was a DPS. Now tell me, what is your favorite memory of Overwatch 1 and what are you definitely going to miss? Let me know in the comments. For now, however, that was it. Thank you very much for watching. See you during my streams on twitch.tv/DamesIsTV or in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.